Good day, everyone. We are the researchers, and our study entitled Public's Attitude Towards Police Visibility and Law Enforcement During the COVID-19 Pandemic. I am Gonzales Dave,
I am Dayap Alfred. And I am Masan Grant.
and we are the researchers for this study. So, the background of the study. In order to understand and know how the public feels about law enforcement in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic. According to Brito, Luna, and Sandberg, the pandemic disease has an effect on local law enforcement agencies behave in different areas, similar to a man-made or naturally occurring critical disasters that inflict physical disruption such as attacks, hurricanes, or earthquakes. Adler, Moeller, and Lofer 1994 stated that this is understandable because we consider that whether or not people are satisfied with the police and their conduct is ultimately determined by their sense of security. The importance of police-community relations in fostering public interest and ensuring the law enforcement maintains a positive interaction with the communities. The gap of this study is the insufficient information of public's insight and its related literature towards police visibility and law enforcement amidst pandemic, which led the researchers of conducting the study. The significance of the study to law enforcement is that the result of the study may provide their insights as to give them an idea the importance of public attitude and police visibility in their organizations. And for the community, the findings of this study may encourage them to cooperate and coordinate with the police, as the result of the study may provide their insights about the public attitude towards police visibility during the COVID-19 pandemic. For criminology students, this study may help criminology students to develop their knowledge and determine the appropriate site to use as their data or to their studies. And for the future researchers, this study may help the future researchers to know the perceptions of the public towards police visibility and law enforcement during this time of the pandemic. The future researchers may gain insights that would support their future studies. They can also use the study as the secondary source of data with their future-related research and reveal the perceptions of public towards law enforcement during the pandemic, which will gain fact knowledge. The objective of this study is lot issues arises related to the public attitude that opposes the guidelines of the Department of Health and protocols implementation of the law enforcement, but few public attitude was already cited. The findings of this helpful to address those public attitude towards the police visibility and formulate possible actions to be enforced. For the hypothesis of this study, the researcher assumed that the null hypothesis will be tested at 0.05 level of significance, which states that the public's attitude towards law enforcement personnel during the COVID-19 pandemic gives a positive feedback with regards to their performance as perceived by the Davao City residents.
In a specific question, by conducting the study, the researchers will be identify the public attitudes whether they are hard-headed, temper, or a law-abiding citizens, which towards checkpoints, patrol, and pandemic protocols. And furthermore, to identify the significance relationships between the public's attitudes with regards to the police visibility and law enforcement that amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Scope and delimitation mainly focus to determine the perception of the public towards police visibility and law enforcement during this time of pandemic by the random people of Davao City. This study would be important most especially to the citizens of Davao City, and its local authorities can be benefit this study by giving them a scope analysis about their insight of public towards police visibility and law enforcement during this time of pandemic, in which will gain fact and knowledge.
Theoretical framework. It is according to Scolderer, the attitude theory. It is a field of cognitive science that studies the people, how to make decisions. That individual tendency is to see something positive or negative that is referred to their mindset. That the public perception, it deals with the perceiving the effectiveness of the law enforcement duties in the face of the pandemic. Community policing theory. It is according to Martovsky. It defines the relationship between people, and the police define community policing theory that's supposed to improve. And also, the greater the contact with the police and the local resident, it increases the satisfaction of police duties and service.
We will go on to the definition of terms of our study. First, COVID-19 pandemic. It is a disease was assigned the designation 2019 novel coronavirus or 2019 nCoV. The COVID-19 virus is a new virus that is released to the severe acute respiratory syndrome virus and certain common colds. The next one is law enforcement. The meaning of law enforcement is the activity of a group of elected working together to enforce the law by finding, deterring, rehabilitating, or prosecuting those who violate social laws and norms during COVID-19 pandemic. And police visibility. Has been identified in a variety of ways in numerous reports, including the simple appearance on the street in helping society to become safe during pandemic. And the last one is public attitude. Public opinion is made up on the plurality of people, wants, to desires, and feelings. It is the aggregated opinion of a society's or a state people on a subject or issue. For the first time, of what people think became relevant to the law enforcement during COVID-19 pandemic.
For the review and related literature, according to Jennings and Perez, the COVID-19 pandemic has also revealed several significant law enforcement issues, including teamwork, manpower control, enforcement of public health control, and changes in crime and service trends. Also, according to SOAFTA 2020, apart from locking up and imposing civil fines on those who failed to obey officers to define the public's interest and provide psychosocial care in accordance with stringent laws, the findings indicated that the public mostly supported quarantine during the pandemic era. If quarantine is not a choice, public health policymakers and government leaders should implement a robust psychosocial treatment structure to secure, train, and counsel frontline public health workers. According to Brito and Garcia, the first big roadblock are communication and teamwork. During the pandemic, law enforcement officers are expected to be the voice of power, calm, and advice, while public health officials are in charge of the immediate response. The police are also tasked with overseeing both informal and legal actions, such as social distancing and imposed lockdowns, as well as the consequences of those interventions.
Citizen and police visibility. Police visibility doesn't affect citizen feelings of safety according to Borovic 2019. According to Borovic 2019, in some cases, the citizen will interpret police presence as an indication of violence crime unfolding in their area, which will not improve their sense of security. As a result, it is important to remember that a police visibility doesn't always affect residents' feelings of safety, meaning that visibility-based police tactics can be used with care and restraint. The police engagement and ability to cooperate and engage with the public can improve public views of the cops. On the other hand, police presence combined with repressive action can have the opposite effect. As a result, all effort to raise police awareness must be meticulously planned and customized to the interests of a particular community. And public perception of police as the most visible creators and implementers of law and order in any city have a direct effect on the other population according to Canary 2017. According to the research, the greater the public's satisfaction or trust in the police, the more likely they are to comply with the legal authorities, obey the laws and order rules, and have the levels of empathy for offenders. The lower the public's confidence in justice institution, the more likely they are to engage in criminal activity, which could lead to the increase in crime and civil unrest, according to Canary.
Review of related literature about the hard lockdown in Philippines. According to Jutski, President Rodrigo Duterte administered and imposed one of the world's longest and the most stringent curfew in March, that which local authorities reimposed curfew because of the new variant of virus. All in all, in this study, we examine whether there is a trust between the law enforcement and the community in terms of how they view the relationship with improved aspect of public attitude and police visibility. Also, these metrics will determine the community's and police willingness to participate in various police enforcement operations, as well as the implementation of action plan during COVID-19 pandemic to strengthen the police organization, necessitating the need for this study.
Research design. Our study used descriptive correlational analysis approach. According to Franklin, descriptive correlational research is used to assess how closely different variables in a population are related to one another. This type of study examines the current situation in order to assess the significance relationship between the two or more variables. As a result, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the approach was used to assess the importance relationship between public perception of police visibility and law enforcement.
Respondents. This research used a simple random sampling method in disseminating questionnaires among the respondents using the random sampling techniques to ensure that the register who administered the instruments did not influence the answer of the respondents. In our research, there is 50 respondents of this study, where the constituents are from Barangay Catalonan Grande, Barangay Indangan, and Barangay Bunawan. Research instrument. The instruments will be used in the study was a set of self-made questionnaire about the public attitude toward police visibility and law enforcement during the COVID-19 pandemic that were subjected to a certain revision to construct a more comprehensive type of questionnaire. A 5-point scale will be used in utilizing and interpreting the respondents' responses in the public visibility and law enforcement, whether they are very satisfied, okay, dissatisfied, or very dissatisfied. The data gathering procedure. In seeking permission to conduct the study, a letter of approval, which was duly noted by the Dean of the College of Department, will be forwarded to the following barangays within Davao City, specifically in Barangay Catalonan Grande, Barangay Indangan, and Barangay Bunawan, in order to conduct the study. Administration and retrieval of the research instrument is as the approvals from the said barangay were permitted. The researcher will disseminate the questionnaires towards random people in Barangay Catalonan Grande, Barangay Indangan, and Barangay Bunawan. Collation of data is by tallying and tabulating the answer questionnaires will immediately follow. Analysis of data is by the aid of the statistician. The data that were gathered were subjected to the analysis. For the statistical treatment of data, the researchers will get the frequency and percentages to determine the profile of the respondents, the mean to use to determine the level of public attitude towards police visibility and law enforcement during the COVID-19 pandemic as perceived by Davao City residents, and the Pearson R to determine the significant response between public's attitude and police visibility and law enforcement during the COVID-19 pandemic as perceived by the Davao City residents.